coupe. Is there another word in the automotive vernacular that has suffered more abuse? Any right-thinking gearhead knows a coupe is a two-door automobile, and yet several German automakers, including Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Porsche, have marketed four-door cars as coupes. To be fair, the British did it, too. Good news, purists. Atonement has arrived in the form of Mercedes' new two-door model, the 2024 CLE Class. This is a proper coupe, and in more than just its body style. New model? Yes, indeed. While Benzo's alphabet soup of models has included CL, CLA, CLK, CLS, and, in Europe, CLC, CLE is a new combination. It serves a dual role, replacing both the C-Class and the E-Class coupes. At first glance, it looks like a two-door version of the C-Class sedan, inside as well as out, but its dimensions tell another story. While it shares its 112.8-inch wheelbase with the C sedan, its length is midway between the C and the new 2024 E-Class sedan. While its width is closer to the E than the C, being a coupe, its roofline sits lower to the ground than either. Mercedes had us sample the CLE on the sort of road trip for which it is best suited, from Bilbao, Spain, to the coastal town of San Sebastian to spend the night. We'd packed heavily. This was the second of two back-to-back trips for us, and our driving partner, from another publication, had 2 suitcases full of video gear. The CLE's 14.8 cubic foot trunk is 2.2 cubes larger than the C-Class sedans, and all the luggage fit easily inside with a couple suitcases worth of space to spare. Despite having a small and light trunk lid, the 2024 Mercedes-Benz CLE has a power trunk closer. Ensconced in the cabin, we found ourselves facing a dashboard virtually identical to that of the C sedan, including the big 12.3-inch digital dashboard and 11.9-inch center display. The CLE runs MBUX, and although we found the system easy to navigate, some bits were hidden. We didn't realize the new CLE Class had seat massagers until an hour or so into our drive, when the car offered us a massage as part of its energizing comfort system, which also includes soothing music we could do without. Getting a massage on our own, however, proved a complete mystery. We couldn't find the menu and finally had to ask the car. "Hey Mercedes," we said, "show seat massage controls," and up they popped. At least, up they popped 3 out of the 4 times we asked. On one request, we got a different menu entirely. Mercedes plans to offer 2 versions of the 2024 CLE Class in the US. The CLE 300 is powered by a 2.0-liter turbo 4 that delivers 255 horsepower, while the CLE 450 gets a 3.0-liter turbocharged inline-6 producing 375 horsepower. Both engines share a 9-speed automatic, 4MATIC all-wheel drive, and a mild hybrid system that can feed an extra 23 horsepower and 151 pounds-to-foot of torque into the driveline. Wandering into San Sebastian, we were reminded how much we love the augmented reality of Mercedes' navigation system. If the comprehensive directions on the head-up display aren't enough, and for most with an IQ above Tucson's average daytime temperature, they should be, the center screen shows a live video with big, blue dancing arrows that show you exactly where to go. They certainly helped us, which just goes to show it's hotter in Tucson than you think. We arrived at our meeting point to find an outdoor vehicular display with several classic Mercedes coupes and the upcoming convertible version of the CLE, which we could sit in but not drive. Just as well, because it turns out the rain in Spain falls mainly on the Mercedes press junket. Our driving partner had to stay behind to put his 6 tons of video gear to work, so we grabbed a CLE 450 and quite literally headed for the hills. Gosh, what a delight an inline 6-cylinder engine is. It's almost a shame the 2024 Mercedes-Benz CLE 300's 4-cylinder is so refined, because it makes it more difficult to appreciate the beauty of the straight 6. The 450 had the abundance of power we were missing in the 2.0-liter car, delivering impressive thrust. Before we go further, we must insert the standard disclaimer that we were driving Euro-spec cars. In the case of the CLE that really matters, since the cars we drove had an adjustable suspension and a rear-wheel steering system that won't be available in the US. Instead, 450s will get a stiffer suspension tune than 300s. We pressed our Mercedes hosts for a good reason as to why America wouldn't get either of these useful features. Surely the older, well-to-do demographic that still wants a luxury coupe would be willing to pay for such features. Heck, that's Porsche's entire business model. Nevertheless, we got no good answers from our friends at Mercedes. Back to those curvy Spanish roads, the CLE quickly made it obvious it prioritizes comfort and quietude over handling, though the latter is still more than clear. The suspension tuning largely follows that of the C-Class sedan, and we found that body motions were generally well controlled. There was plenty of grip, too, even on damp pavement. But when the pavement turned rough, the CLE always erred on the side of floaty comfort, and on some of the bigger bumps we felt the suspension coming to the end of its travel, both up and down. And we surely felt that extra width on those narrow Spanish roads, though that shouldn't be much of an issue back home in the US. The steering was responsive, accurate, and nicely weighted, loading up slightly when we switched to sport mode. When it came to feedback, though, it was as if the rack had taken a vow of silence. Bumper cars have more communicative steering than the CLE. This didn't make it any more difficult to drive, but it turns down the fun factor. You can certainly hustle in the CLE, but doing so is not as rewarding as it could be. Think Executive Express more than sports car, and you'll have the CLE's number. The next day, we traveled back to Bilbao for our departure in a CLE 450, but not before checking out the back seat. It's exactly what you'd expect, provided you were expecting a back seat where adults wouldn't mind riding to dinner, but asked to sit back there for a day-long road trip might well opt to drive their own car. That's the reason coupes have two doors, isn't it? To make it clear that guests are only welcome for short stints. Having been treated to a lovely trip to lovely cities in a lovely country, you'll probably expect us to say nice things about the 2024 Mercedes-Benz CLE Coupe, but the truth is we'll likely come to the same conclusions when we test it stateside, particularly with the suspension bits we'll get here in the US. Still, we must reserve some judgment until we hear about pricing, which we expect will also fall between the old C and D coupes. In general, the two-door luxury coupe is a dying breed that appeals to a dwindling demographic, and we'll wager the target market will find the CLE most satisfactory. It's extraordinarily handsome, has a Benz-grade posh interior and reasonably high level of tech, and its chassis setup provides first-class comfort with a sporty edge. The 2024 Mercedes-Benz CLE is exactly what a luxury coupe ought to be, right down to having the correct number of doors.